In this session, we're going to talk about an advanced option on power supplies that are not available for all power supplies, but it just so happens our model does have this option, and it's called remote sensing. And a quick explanation of what remote sensing does is if you are running wires or leads from your power supply to the device that you want to supply the power, your device has a very heavy load. The wires are pretty thin. You're going to drop some voltage across the wires and do that. When I was a technician, we had a piece of equipment that we would always put the meter right on the components on the board, and we would adjust the power supply so that we knew that we were getting the voltage that we wanted right on the board instead of holding a meter right at the power supply. And there's features in advanced power supplies to help you with that, and it's called remote sensing. And what you do is you run a set of leads from your power supply to provide the power, and then you run a second set of leads from a special output on your power supply called the remote sensing output, and you run them also to your board, and that senses the voltage on the board and adjusts the power supply to send to the board the exact voltage that is appearing on the front of the power supply. A little bit hard to explain. Most people never have a power supply application use with such heavy load that might be a problem. But our example isn't going to be one of those either, but we will show you how to hook it up and use this feature of the power supply. So you can see on our screen we have the Extech power supply, the 382260 model. I don't know if it's my favorite power supply in the world, but it's what we have and it works pretty good. So a lot of the features for the power supply you access from the front. Knobs that you turn, adjust voltage and set current. We've talked about those in another video. We are going to talk about the remote sensing, which is available from terminals on the back. So this RS plus and the RS minus signal are where you do make a connection. So I made a set of leads that has wires here. You just push wires into a terminal termination point, and they work pretty nicely. So I cut an end of the banana jack leads off of one end of a pair of leads to hook to there, and then we're going to have our normal set of leads that come from the banana jacks in the front of the Extech power supply. So in essence, we're going to have two leads, two red and two black leads, one banana jack to banana jack running from the power supply to the breadboard we want to hook up to, and the one which is just a terminated pair of wires from the back of the power supply also to the board that we want to do. We're going to show you that very shortly. Just sort of paging down through the manual for this power supply. There are some other options that are available. Okay, so let's take a look at how that's set up by going to our video. In this case, the video is showing my breadboard and my connections. So here are the leads coming in from the power supply and the remote sensing in the back of the power supply. That's what these two leads are here. Might be a little bit hard to see. If I pick this up, you can you can see them at the side. One set, the bottom set, is from the banana jacks on the front of the power supply. The top set is from the back of the power supply from the sensing, and I just use the same colors, so it's really nice and easy to hook up. So what ends up happening now is when I make an adjustment on the power supply on the front to 5 volts and I turn the output on, that voltage will be coming down here to the board just like it was before. And our sensing wires will make sure that the voltage on the front of the power supply is also brought to the board itself. And this meter that we have here is measuring 4.95 volts. That is sitting right at the very front of the power supply, and I'll show you that in a second. So that is measuring the voltage coming right off the power supply, and these little displays here are measuring the voltage at the actual board. Now we have the problem that we always have, and that is I'm measuring with the front display of the power supply, I'm measuring with the meter, and I'm measuring with these 3 separate meters, and they probably are all in some off state off of the calibrated voltage that's there. So who knows which one to believe, and the fact that I'm looking at 5 different displays, they're not going to add up. So if they're very close, we'll be happy about that. And like I said, the way to fix that is to calibrate things. Some things can be calibrated and some can't, but it's expensive, and you need special equipment to do it. So right now, I'm not going to adjust the voltage too much because that's exactly what I want it to be. But I am going to swing my camera here. Not the easiest thing that I get to do, but let me swing my camera and show you the front of the power supply. And maybe I should have practiced that a little bit before I did it. Okay, and I'll be satisfied with that. But you can see here are the leads coming out to the breadboard, the plus and the minus, and these are the jacks for the meter measuring the voltage. And I know it's hard to see because of the way the light is, but it's set for 5.0 volts, and this is the amount of current that's flowing out of there. So 5.00 is pretty close to the 4.94 volts that we were measuring on our board. It takes a while to get it readjusted, but it's pretty close to the meter and the voltage on there. The nice thing is this remote sensing. It does cause another set of leads to come from the power supply, but this is electronics. We're used to a lot of wires to hook stuff up, but the sensing will make sure that the voltage right at this point is the same as the voltage that's coming out of the power supply into it. And that's remote sensing. As I said, not all power supplies have it, and just for simple little bench circuits like we're using here, we're not drawing enough current to make a great use of it, but I wanted to do a video to show you how it works and what you would use it for.